Are you serious? Have you ever stumbled upon a sports take so fundamentally broken, so completely disconnected from the fabric of reality, that you had to check your calendar to make sure it wasn't April 1st? Because a trade proposal has been floating around the internet that is so mind-numbingly absurd, so profoundly insulting to the intelligence of every Falcons fan, that it deserves to be put on blast. What on God's green earth is going on in the national media? And since when is the Atlanta Falcons front office in the business of running a charity for our most hated, bitter, and eternal rival, the New Orleans Saints? It's almost laughable to even say it out loud, but here we go. An analyst, and I use that term loosely here, from a fantasy sports outlet recently penned an article suggesting that the New Orleans Saints would be a good landing spot for none other than our brand new $180 million franchise quarterback, Kirk Cousins. You heard me correctly. The idea is that the Atlanta Falcons, after finally solving their quarterback purgatory this offseason with the biggest free agent prize on the market, should turn around and trade him, not just to any team, mind you, but to the one organization that this fan base despises more than any other, to the New Orleans Saints. Now, before anyone panics, let's be crystal clear. This is not happening. This is not a real rumor coming from the league office. This is a definition of clickbait filler. The kind of content that gets generated when someone has a word count to meet and a complete lack of understanding about how rivalries in the NFL actually work. But the sheer audacity of this proposal makes it impossible to ignore. It's a perfect case study in how some national sports writers view teams like ours as nothing more than a collection of assets on a fantasy spreadsheet, completely devoid of the history, the passion, and the pure, unadulterated hatred that fuels a rivalry like Falcons versus Saints. So let's break down why this isn't just a bad take, but a take so galaxy-brained it warps space and time around it. First, let's examine the logic, if you can call it that, behind the suggestion. The premise from this fantasy writer, Ethan Hutton, is that the Saints, having moved on from Derek Carr, are in quarterback trouble. Their first-year head coach Kellen Moore is rolling with rookie Spencer Rattler, and while he's been solid, the article posits that the Saints need a real signal caller to compete. The argument is that adding Kirk Cousins would instantly make them a playoff contender in what they call a weak NFC South. The article even acknowledges the hurdles. Cousins coming off an Achilles injury, the Saints' questionable offensive line, but still presents this as a viable path for New Orleans. What's truly hilarious is that the article itself practically debunks its own premise. It correctly states that even with Cousins, the Saints likely aren't true contenders. It admits that the veteran quarterback wouldn't move the needle enough to put them in the mix for anything meaningful. So, in essence, the proposal is for the Saints to mortgage whatever future they have left, give up valuable draft capital, and take on a massive contract for a quarterback who still wouldn't make them a Super Bowl threat. It's a nonsensical argument, even from their perspective. Why would a team in a soft rebuild, with a rookie quarterback who is performing adequately, trade for a 37-year-old veteran? It's a move that helps them neither now nor in the future. But that's their problem. Let's talk about ours. The fact that anyone would even type the words, "Falcons trade Kirk Cousins to the Saints," shows a staggering ignorance of what this rivalry means. This isn't the Cleveland Browns trading a player to the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is the Hatfields and the McCoys. This is Duke and North Carolina. This is oil and water. You do not help your enemy. You do not give them the one piece they are missing to become relevant. You do not hand over your newly crowned leader, the man you just invested $180 million in, to the team whose fans live to see you fail. Terry Fontenot would be run out of town on a rail. Arthur Blank would have to go into hiding. The city of Atlanta would probably revolt. Trading your franchise quarterback to your arch-rival 3 games into his first season is not just bad business. It is an act of treason against your own fan base. It's a white flag of surrender. It is the single most franchise-destroying move one could possibly conceive of, and the fact that it was even suggested in a published article is an insult to our entire organization. Let's ground ourselves in reality for a moment and remember why Kirk Cousins is wearing a Falcons uniform in the first place. He wasn't signed to be a placeholder or a trade chip. He was signed to be the final piece of the puzzle. He is the proven top 10 veteran quarterback brought in to elevate an offense brimming with young, blue-chip talent. He is here to unlock Kyle Pitts, to maximize Drake London, and to run an offense that allows Bijan Robinson to be the superstar we all know he is. We endured years of quarterback mediocrity after Matt Ryan. We suffered through the Desmond Ridder experiment. The signing of Kirk Cousins was the light at the end of the tunnel. It was a declaration from our front office that the time for rebuilding is over and the time for winning the division is now. You don't make that declaration and then immediately undercut it by trading the central figure of that plan to the very team you need to beat to achieve your goals. If anything, this ridiculous rumor should serve as a source of comfort for the Falcons faithful. It is a glaring spotlight on the state of our rivals. While we have our quarterback of the present and near future, the Saints are in such a state of uncertainty that media members are forced to invent impossible fantasies for them to have a glimmer of hope. They are starting over with a rookie. The Panthers are in a similar boat. The Buccaneers are still figuring out their post-Brady world. For the first time in a long time, the Atlanta Falcons have the most stable, most proven, and most dangerous quarterback situation in the NFC South. We have the guy, and they don't. So, let's file this one away and the bad takes Hall of Fame. This isn't a story. It's a joke. Kirk Cousins isn't going anywhere. And he certainly isn't going to New Orleans unless it's to hang 300 yards and 3 touchdowns on their defense at the Caesars Superdome. The only transaction we're interested in making with the Saints this year is delivering them 2 losses, cementing our place atop the division. This entire episode is just a noisy, nonsensical distraction and a perfect reminder that while other teams are desperate for answers, our Atlanta Falcons have finally found theirs. I'm dying to know what your first, immediate gut reaction was when you heard this insanity. Was it pure laughter? Was it immediate rage? Get down in the comments and let me see those raw, unfiltered thoughts. What's the most ridiculous Falcons trade rumor you've ever come across? Let's have some fun with this one. And if you believe Kirk Cousins is here to lead this team to glory and not to be a savior for the Saints, do me a favor and absolutely demolish that like button.